Good morning, Cyber Warriors. I'm going to cover something that isn't necessarily security related, nor is it necessarily something that will be part of the Cyber Patriot, but is generally a good practice to avoid pestering or bothering or increasing your alert fatigue, which is definitely a thing, with notifications within the Windows system. And that is through the action notification action center. It is that annoying little text icon down on your your taskbar on the far right side. It generally has a number circled on it for the different number of notifications that it thinks that is important for you to know at the time, which generally is a bunch of things you don't necessarily need to know at the time. So this is going to go after that. Hey, kill guy, how do I disable this in the registry? And so we're going to talk about how to actually go in and do that through registry. And it includes an interesting little portion, which is finding a registry key that doesn't necessarily exist on the system yet, and how to do that programmatically. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Okay, so we have our administrator prompt open as per always, and we're going to sit there and do a couple of different things we haven't done before. First is we're going to be making change to the registry, but we don't know if the registry key is that registry element exists. So how do we do that? And it's the same way we would test to see if any other directory tree or directory path exists on the system. So remember, PowerShell treats the registry just like any other path. So what we're going to do is use something called test path, and we're going to go to H key current user, and we're going to look at the software policies, Microsoft, and Windows, and this last one is the one that may or may not exist. So instead of using tab to autocomplete would tell us that it's not there. In fact, let me just show you that, right? Hitting tab, nothing is happening. But maybe it's just lag. So it's important to know what's true and false. False in this case means that does not exist. So what we want to do is, if there's something that doesn't exist, we want to make it exist. So how do we do that within the PowerShell, doing it programmatically? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have it test like this, so that we can put it into a script, so we don't have to tab to autocomplete to find out if it exists or not. Because there's certain things we want to do, and that is down here. And that annoying little thing, alert fatigue is a real problem. So we need to get rid of that because it really serves no function. This doesn't really serve a security function. It's just something that we deal with on a fairly regular basis. We want to turn that off, make it so it's not cluttering the user's view or distracting them from doing real work. So how do we do that? So what we want to do is we want to do a quick little if. If this exists, do a thing, right? So we're going to do if and test. Actually, let's just grab that because it's so much easier, right? So if, and then we're going to do this and that and this, and we need to double close that and our squiggly do and hit enter, because this allows us to do multiple lines since we're doing it in the pipeline. All right, so now what this is doing is asking the question, hey, does this exist? And if it does not exist, please do a thing. right? That's kind of the how that first portion works. So what we want to do is we want to create a new item, and that new item path is going to be this path here. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to push that to out null. This basically just suppresses any response if there is one. Okay. And then we close it out with our squiggly don't. So if something doesn't exist, do this action. Okay. Boom. See, no notification, no information, but that's okay. We're going to test it. It's now true. What this means is that we can now go ahead and do the other portion, which is to disable that notification center. Since we don't need to see it, we don't want to see it. And there's two other registry commands and two other registry areas that we need to touch. Now, those other areas exist. One, this area exists because it's going in this one, but the other portion exists already. We don't need to create it. Because it is part of every system with Windows 10, Windows 11, but it isn't always part of this particular build. So we just need to make sure it existed, and if it didn't exist, make it exist so that we can do this next portion. This next portion is we're going to do a set item property. We should be used to that by now. Set item property, and we're going to that same path that we had before. So this path. There is our path, and we're going to call this name is disable notification center. Okay, and we need to give it a type. Why is type not auto-completing? Why? What are our options here? Value, pass through, force, filter, include, exclude, credential, if, confirm, use transaction, rules, debug, interaction, information, whole lot of stuff. I'm not seeing a type. You know what? I'm going to see if it'll work anyway. Value is 1 because we're going to create. So even though we're telling it to do something negative, right, we don't want these notifications. We want to create and enable this disable notification center so that we can actually go in and turn off the actual notifications later in that other area, if that makes sense. Okay. So now the next thing we need to do is go to that other area. So that is set item property. And this is a slightly different path. So we're not going to be able to cheat the entire way. We are going to cheat a little bit. So I'm going to grab that and we're going to current user Microsoft soft Microsoft Windows current version and push notifications. See, that one exists, right? And we're going to give it a name, and that name is toast enabled. This is type DWord once again, and this is the value of 0. This is where we're turning this off. All right. You notice that it is still here and still able to annoy us, but once the system is rebooted, that little notification thing will go away, and it won't distract your users anymore. Alrighty then, Cyber Warriors, what we went in today is we disabled the incredibly annoying action notification or notification action center. That annoying little thing in the bottom corner of your windows on your taskbar, which you look at and you're like, why did I even bother looking at that? Well, we got rid of it. And what we did it in a way that was programmatically correct, which allows you to go in and use this knowledge we have here to build better scripts, looking for directories that exist or don't exist, and then making intelligent decisions based off of that, and actions that follow through. Instead of your script throwing up a whole bunch of errors and running all over the place, this actually includes a quick little error check, and a catch and release, if you will. If something doesn't exist, do a thing so that we can actually do the rest of the script. And so hopefully that helps you when you're looking at building a script in the future for your stuff. And we highly recommend you script your stuff. All right. And you have to write it. Can't just copy somebody else's script from somewhere else. The intent with Cyber Patriot is that you yourself go through and identify and create your own scripts. And these are great because you can use them from year to year to year and build on them in order to make them just amazing products to help do a lot of different things. And I hope that you learned something in this. As always, happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.